Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're welcome as can be. I don't know. Does that mean anything to anyone anymore? I always started off that way. That's how the Mickey Mouse Club was. The hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be. MIC. So that's how. I don't know. I don't know if the Mickey Mouse Club has anyone's seen the Mickey Mouse Club in the last 50 years. So, but
They're probably not listening to podcasts, put it that way.
yeah, the people that did watch the Mickey Mouse Club aren't uh, downloading the latest episodes of the Disney themed podcasts. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just saying.
Okay. But we're gonna do a little diversion this week. I'm JJ, your host, as usual, and over there is my good buddy, my good friend Nick. How you doing over there, buddy?
Oh, JJ, chimney sweep.
Oh man, we got Dick Van Dyke himself here. Uh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm I'm from England.
Where did Nick go, Mr. Van Dyke?
Oh, he went off the chimney, and oh no, I'm here.
Okay, we have to stop this immediately.
I'm covered in soot.
Uh, in case you couldn't tell, we've decided to take a little excursion into the Disney Compendium Annex #2 with Mary Poppins because last week we did Sword in the Stone, which was wasn't one of, it was Walt's last animated feature that he was alive for. And this is probably the last major work he was involved in before his death. In 1964, Mary Poppins was released. Um,
Sword and Stone also took place in jolly old England.
okay, listen, Mr. Van Dyke,
It's our
I need you to leave.
decay.
I need you to leave, and I need you to leave now. I didn't even know you were still alive. So
Hey, Dick, I got tea and crumpets over here. Oh, I tell you, crumpets.
just
Well, I'll pop off then.
go have your tea party on the ceiling.
Oh, that guy's annoying.
Why is he staying with you? I don't understand.
I don't know.
He's
Dick Van
90.
Dyke.
He's 90. What is he doing in your
Well,
house?
just to let you know, like, I also do a weekly diagnosis murder podcast.
Ah,
So I just have him here for that.
just just a big yeah, just once a week. You're just going chronologically through every episode of Diagnosis Murder
We're
with
ranking
Van
the
Dyke.
episodes. Yeah, we're ranking the episode just like this. I have a laugh outside of you, JJ.
I guess. I mean, I guess he lives in California, and so do you. So I guess it's not too far out of the question that he would just
Yeah,
come over.
Dick Van Dyke lives in my closet. And in an empty Rubbermaid tote that I threw a blanket at the bottom of. So he's just in there. Comes
Your
out.
kids you just play with him every once in a while.
No, he's not allowed near my children.
He has to leave your house while you're gone. He can't be there.
Yeah, he's not allowed to use the restroom or the kitchen.
I
He
don't.
just
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
we started this podcast again. I apologize. I'm sick, so I
We
might say
we
some
technically
Nyquil-induced things that make no sense.
we technically started this podcast about 35 minutes ago, although you missed about 90%. You missed it all because we didn't hit record and we just were talking about old Atari games and ports of old games to the DS. So it's a very exciting conversation you missed. So
Mary Poppins for the television.
I don't even know what that game would be. It would just be some sort of very bad, like, catch umbrellas game or something like that just vaguely has. It's like Kaboom or something where it's just like you're Mary Poppins and you're trying to catch like tea or something.
I want a Mary Poppins game, but like running on the Splatterhouse engine.
Oh no, I've got it. I know exactly what the Mary Poppins game would be if it were like on an old television or an Atari game. It would be you. It would just be a feed the birds game. It's just
You feeding the birds?
Yeah, just you feeding birds. It's all it has this one super sad song in the middle of the movie. They just made a whole video game around it because that's
Oh
what they would
God,
do in the 80s. That's how video games were.
it would be a really bad MIDI version of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just how video games were. Like the ET game. It's like, he says ET phone home. So what do? You're collecting bits of a phone. Like he wasn't
Mhm.
being literal when he said whatever.
That game was made in 6 weeks. So
Yeah, yeah. That's a whole different show to talk about. But yeah, I guess we could actually talk about Mary Poppins like itself now, like the
yeah,
actual movie, and not just weird obtuse references to Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, the game, the movie.
The official novelization of the game.
Yep.
Uh, but so like the first character you meet in this movie is Bert, the crazy old man that lives in your closet. Uh,
He the chimney sweep, which so we'll kind of go and address this right away. If you they'll do interviews with British actors and they'll say, "Hey, what American has done the worst British accent in cinema history?" And they're all like, Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
it is it is like I don't know how to describe his accent like
Cockney?
appropriately. I mean, like it's theoretically Cockney, but
Mhm.
like Cockney if you just had somebody describe what that meant to Dick Van Dyke, and he's like, yeah, I got it, without ever listening to anything, and then nobody correcting him. Like,
The guy who walks around Disneyland as animated drawing Bert still does a better accent than this Bert.
yes, the Disney cast members that are supposed to be Bert are better British people than he is. And it's so weird because the movie starts off with him like it's immediately breaking the fourth wall. He is talking to you out there in the movie land, watching this movie.
And yeah, he's singing to himself, and he's like, "Oh, there's a change in the air."
Yeah, yeah, one man band Bert with all the instruments and the big drum and the knee cymbals and all of that.
He's a one-man band.
Ah, boy, just there's a wrestling reference out the gate again. But uh, also, I'm 1,000% certain we're not going to get very far without um, mentioning or making a Simpsons joke because there's a Mary Poppins episode of The Simpsons, and there's little references to Mary Poppins constantly in this
The Sherry Bobbins episode.
Sherry Bobbins episode. I just Groundskeeper Willie is as a one man band, like or not one or Mo is in the Sherry Bobbins episode, the one man.
Her butt shined a banister.
That's your Marge impersonation.
Yep.
Okay, please never again on this show.
Oh, Homer.
Well, I have access to a mute button and I can click it anytime.
He's gonna replace me with a soundboard.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be like that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns goes onto the shock morning radio show, and he's gonna keep playing sound effects over you until you just get so flustered. And that is, the members of the studio audience. Those sounds are not coming from me. Still, we're not even 3 minutes into this movie.
Well, okay, so Mary Poppins is descending from the clouds.
Yeah,
This movie,
descends into.
though the movie implies she lives in the clouds.
I guess I don't know. I guess it's never addressed.
I mean, she's
Honestly.
up there touching up her makeup.
Yeah, like she's just kind of chilling out up there. Like there's no wind resistance or anything. She just kind of exists up above the clouds.
Yeah,
Uh,
it makes her
so,
more of an ethereal being in that sense.
yeah, it really is like this weird, like biblical set, like descending from the heavens through the sun. You know, like
Yep.
music play the songs of angels playing as she
Mm.
comes down. But uh, boy, the the kids, uh, the kids want like in this movie are they flip flop between being like genuinely sort of like enjoyable to just being like, oh, please, just can we go back to Mary Poppins? Like doing stuff because like they really do flip flop between being just like good kids and just obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they get their father fired, so
Yeah, yeah. He loses like yeah. Things don't things really don't end well for this family at the end of this movie, really, because the dad is out of a job.
No, I mean he gets his job back.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but
No,
it's
like
not like
remember,
it's not like he's fixed the people around him. He's got his
no,
job back, but they're still gonna like expect him to, to compose himself like he used to be.
yeah, that's true. I wonder if this is addressed in Mary Poppins Returns.
Hell if I know. I
I haven't
haven't seen
seen it
that yet.
yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. I'm assuming Disney Annex episode after it's out on Blu-ray. We'll sequelize this episode with Mary Poppins Returns because I want to see it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's 54-year difference
yeah,
between the two movies.
yeah.
So that's it's one of the most significant, if probably I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the most significant gap between sequels.
We'll do that one after our Disney Annex episode of Race to Witch Mountain. So
But yeah, the kids like they're doing this whole Jane and Michael
yeah,
uh, are
Banks.
Banks they need a nanny because they're monsters and they've driven every nanny they've ever had out of town.
And their housekeeping staff are even flustered by them.
Yeah, and so Mr. Banks is trying to get a nice stern, take no prisoners nanny, and they've got their little advertisement that they want for a nanny.
Yeah,
So this
the
is this movie more than anything else that we've watched thus far, outside of some of the weird compilation music based ones, is the most musical of everything.
yes.
Like it, it's exposition and plot development get told through song constantly in this movie, and they're all phenomenal songs. Like
Well, so like the little nerd moment for you and I, the first night they drive away is played by Elsa Lancaster,
yes, yes,
who we should know as the Bride of Frankenstein.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
So just so you know, that's another thing that we both share a deep enjoyment of are the old Universal monster movies. So,
Universal monster movies. Yeah,
yeah. Um,
with about 40 years difference, 30 years difference, 30 years difference.
yeah. Was when did
30, 32, 33.
her role of the title character Bride of Frankenstein 1935,
Okay,
and this is 1964. So
almost 30
about
years.
almost 30 years. Wow. And
It shows.
yeah, it shows in this. She doesn't look
Yeah,
like she doesn't. Yeah, she looks like an old nanny.
yeah. She plays a role of a frumpy old nanny perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. But like where he tears up their note and like throws it in the
Fire.
fireplace, and that's where they go. They get sucked up into the
But
fireplace.
I mean, I kind of want to address the thing, like, yeah, they're not great kids all the time, but their dad's a workaholic and their mom's kind of wrapped up in her own stuff.
Yeah, just like
She's a suffragette.
she's a suffragette. So
Yeah.
like she's her own independent woman throughout this entire movie, and you kind of never that's her character throughout this movie is feminist, and that's sort of it. There's no other like
But there's times when she's not, and she's oddly subservient to.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's weird.
it's weird. So it's like that was where I was heading with it. It's like so that's like her character. It's like she's described like you first at the gate you see her as a suffragette, and you have all this stuff. And then there's other times throughout the movie like they forgot about that, like it's from an earlier script,
Hmm.
and they just didn't bother to go back and fix it or something. Like yeah, that's or maybe that's the joke. I don't know.
It could be
It could very well
sister
be.
suffragettes.
Yeah, so it very well could just be that's the joke is that she is like she's the suffragette, but she also doesn't want to do that in any way, shape, or form. She just wants
Yeah,
to be the subservient wife. That doesn't. It
it's
wouldn't
more of a,
surprise me. It wouldn't
it's
surprise me
it
out of
it's
this
a
era
hobby
of
for
Disney.
her.
Yeah,
The suffragette movie is maybe a hobby for her because she's clearly an upper class woman that
yeah,
she needs something to do.
yeah. Um, I recently saw on the internet the other day that there was like a weird bit of backlash for this movie because Mary Poppins gets the soot on her face later,
Hmm.
and then she just like instead of cleaning it off, she just powders it back on, and
Hmm.
and there was sort of this like, is this blackface? Like, are they just like is this like intro into blackface or something? And I was like, well, no, but
Look,
I can also understand that point of view because it is sort of because then they're
well,
just because then they kind of just go up on the roofs and start having like a song and dance routine, which is sort of what you
well,
know.
I mean, so yeah, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but
Yeah,
the part where the captain or the admiral he goes, "Oh, it's a bunch of Hottentots on the roof."
yeah,
That is a racial term.
it is. It is.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's a problem, man.
yeah, he's a very problematic character in this movie because he is just he's played for laughs, but boy, uh, we're doing a terrible job at just sort of recollecting this movie. But like this movie is like a controlled chaos where it's like Mary Poppins is in town and now she's helping these kids out and they go on various adventures that makes the dad angry.
Yeah, he's just
uh,
constantly flustered with his children enjoying life.
I know it's just it's really just making him so upset that they're have like when the tea party on the ceiling is just like the final straw.
Yeah, yeah,
What's up?
but so Poppins comes in and
Yeah,
and she thinks, oh, this dude's crazy, so I'll watch your children on a trial basis
yeah, yeah,
because I don't know about you, sir.
yeah, yeah. Um, I do I do like that he doesn't really seem to question it at all that she has the advertisement. Like it surprises him because but like he doesn't really question it either. Like you have to know that you tore that up and threw it away. But here it is with her rereading it back to you. Like she's put it back together to be
I,
here.
I get the sense that he we're supposed to take him as a shallow, unimaginative character to begin with,
Yeah,
and so he just kind of like, all right, well,
yeah. And she just ends up hiring herself. Like that's the best
yeah,
part. Like he never really agrees to it, except except, except like the only way he agrees to it is because she pretty much tricked him into thinking it was his idea.
yeah. And again, like trial basis because I don't know about you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then yeah, then that's
This is where we get our second musical number.
this is where we get our second musical number, and boy, they just really nail it, hitting it. Like the Sherman Brothers are fantastic with just sort of playful songs,
Yeah,
and
this
every song in this movie is super playful and jolly and happy. Uh,
a jolly
so
holiday.
some could say they take you on a jolly holiday. It's a jolly holiday with Mary.
Yeah, See, your accent's better than mine. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is the cleanup song,
Yes. Uh, what's
the half-ass job song.
yeah, the half-ass job song from The Simpsons, which is I whenever I'm doing anything around the house, I sing that version of the song.
Yeah.
Like just yeah, cutting every corner. It's, um, yeah, a spoonful of sugar is one of the uh, like if it weren't for supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, like I would say it's probably the more iconic song. Like it's the second biggest song in this movie is the spoonful of sugar song,
Yeah.
obviously.
And then
Uh,
third probably Feed the Birds or well,
Feed
Fly
the Bird,
Kite maybe.
Fly a Kite would probably be third. Feed the
Yeah.
Birds is the best song on this out of all of them. But
Needless to this has a fantastic soundtrack.
oh yeah, I think no, I don't think I know. Feed the Birds was absolutely Walt's favorite song. Like
Hmm.
like not just like from this movie, but just like he loved that song. Like he would have the Sherman Brothers just kind of play it for him every once in a while. He I genuinely love that song. If you know anything about Disneyland, they have the Club 33,
Right.
and like if you get like compilation albums and stuff, that's always a like jazz piano version of like Feed the Birds is sort of like one of the like common songs that plays at Club 33 kind of thing. Like which falls in line with sort of Walt's sensibilities. So
Yeah, and he pushed for this movie, so yeah.
oh yeah, this was a big deal for Walt. This movie, um,
Which we'll get
they
to.
which we'll get to that. But
So yeah,
uh,
Spoonful of Sugar has some, I don't know, like it has some good practical effects, but some that have not aged well.
yeah, I saw um a scene from the recent Mary Poppins
Hmm.
that made its way onto Twitter a little bit ago,
The
and
bathtub one.
it was the bathtub one, and
Yeah,
that's genuinely impressive little practical effect that they had. Like
yeah.
it is needlessly complicated for what they need to accomplish for this movie, but it is like it's a full bathtub with a slide under with that she falls into the soapy bath and slides
Mhm.
underneath it to disappear into the whatever the pocket dimension Mary Poppins is very clearly able to jump in and out of at will. Uh, like, because like that's the thing that as a kid, the thing that always stuck out to me was her bottomless bag. Like
Yeah,
just her pulling the hat rack out of the bag and like the kid's reaction to it, like what the
yeah,
like it's a cool memorable stuff like because like it's not like it's a magic trick where it's like there's a trick to how it's working. You know that
right.
the bag has no bottom and it's just being pulled. You know all that
Yeah,
stuff. But it looks cool in a movie because in this movie's reality, that's really happening. And it comes off that way. It really looks. It's some things work best as a practical effect in this like these kinds of you know trick shots or those kinds of things. Like if it was her pulling a CG hat rack out of a bag, it wouldn't have come across anywhere near as, you know,
no, the practical
impressive or
power.
charming. Yeah.
I do like the part, right before we get to this, like where she has her tape measure to see how they measure up, and she measures like Jane and Michael, like, these are your shortcomings. Like, what about you? Oh, me, practically perfect in every way. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
then, Poppins.
Yeah. Yeah. She's also incredibly modest.
Yeah, yeah.
Modest to a fault, some would say.
Mm. Well, she said practically perfect, not
Yeah.
completely
No,
perfect.
I wonder what the one thing is that she's not good at.
I don't know.
I
She's
maybe they answer that in Mary Poppins Returns. Maybe we find out that she's like not good at rummy or something. I don't know. Just some simple pointless thing that she's like, why I'm practically perfect because, or maybe she's just like 3/4 of an inch too short for her liking or something.
oh my god.
But uh,
She messed up a Ocarina of Time speed run once.
yeah,
I didn't glitch to the wall fast enough, so I'm
yeah, sure, she no matter how hard she tries, she just can't get to the minus world perfectly every single time.
No,
uh,
unless it's like, well, I'm this magical ethereal being, but I'm still a nanny, so
yeah,
eh,
something went, something, something went wrong. I
something
could,
went wrong.
it could be Merlin working for the Queen, but here I am in jolly old England being a nanny for
Yeah,
for rich families, not even
yeah.
poor, not even the needy, like these.
No, these are just entitled children who need direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, she is friends with a homeless person, I suppose. So
Is Bert homeless?
he he's like always dirty, and he has a new job every time you meet him. So
Maybe
because
Bert was like we're in the gig economy, and Bert was like the forerunner of that.
yeah, by the next time you see him, he's a screever.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
soon doing,
Poppins, I got it. I'm working for Uber now.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, tell me you can't picture in Mary Poppins Returns Lin Manuel driving,
An Uber.
driving, yeah, whatever the uh, English version, Edwardian London version of Uber would be.
Bert, like he's got nothing but positive reviews on Airbnb though.
But but yeah, so yeah, the next time you meet, we're moving on to the next segment because we're
Yeah,
going to this whole thing, and I mean, they go out to the park and they meet Bert, and Bert's doing his thing on the sidewalk, doing some sidewalk art,
chalk art.
chalk art. That's what a screever is, by the way.
Yeah,
That's, in case you didn't, when I said that word earlier, it's not like it's a Starship Troopers reference or something. That could very well be the giant bugs from.
it's a fry.
No, it's it's doing sidewalk art. So what happens, Nick? They go
Uh,
inside the sidewalk art
they go inside the painting.
because
They go
again,
into they go into
Mary,
bed up the broomsticks.
yeah, Mary Poppins is uh, absolutely has complete and total control of the universe around her and can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, and nobody can stop her.
So
um,
there's this whole link between worlds thing where they go into the painting.
yeah, exactly. This will be the third episode in a row. We're going to talk about Legend of Zelda and compare it to Legend of Zelda game.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it a few weeks ago. Like, oh, yeah, it's link between worlds.
I'm 1,000% certain it has to be sort of vaguely inspired by that. There's no way it couldn't.
Yeah,
It's like I can even as simple as Super Mario 64, where you're literally just every level is just a painting you're jumping into.
yeah.
It's, it's the exact same thing. Ocarina of Time has Ganon, the Phantom Ganon, jumping in and out of paintings on his horse and stuff. Like it's
It's a
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's a thing. And this is probably the I was gonna say probably, but no, absolutely the most famous segment of this entire movie.
Yeah,
It's the
uh, Jolly Holiday.
it's a Jolly Holiday. It is them in a cartoon world. It's where you learn supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like everything that you think about with Mary Poppins is occurring in this one
Yeah.
small segment of this movie.
Dick Van
Uh,
Dyke dancing with the penguins.
yeah, hoisting up his pantaloons.
Yeah.
uh,
There's this whole scene where, during Jolly Holiday, where Mary Poppins is kind of friend zoning Bert here.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah. I don't understand.
I
They
don't,
never
I don't, I don't know what their relationship is.
they don't they never you never know what their previous relationship is, and you kind of don't know what their current relationship is, other than it's he is playing the role of Mary Poppins Herald, like he's the Silver Surfer to her Galactus. I'm killing you with laughter, much like this movie. Uh, but
With
but
Langdon Smith.
yeah, but I mean, I'm not too far removed from what I'm saying there, because
No.
that really is because like it starts off with him like, or even like Thanos is coming.
Well, the theory is, and I don't know if this is canon or not, but so my wife and I have discussed this before. Like, either she used to nanny for him when he was a kid,
Yeah.
and she's this ageless being, or he and Mary Poppins have an arrangement. Wink when she comes to town.
I if I'm just gonna say that if she was his nanny,
She messed up.
she messed up something big because again, he is you he clear I don't does he have a home? You never see him go anywhere other than just being outside and dirty. So
We do at the beginning of the movie. He's basically panhandling.
yeah. I mean, he's a screever, so he's panhandling for money by doing art, and
Yeah.
he's a chimney sweep in the next time you meet him in this. So it's like every time he's got 3 different jobs throughout this, and all of them are what would be the poor end of society's gigs. Like he was a one-man band at the beginning, which is panhandling, a screever, which is like that's not a job, in the traditional sense. That is again gig economy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
panhandling for money because I done draw some pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And so he's just sort of out there doing his thing, and you never learn anything about their relationship. Again, maybe they go into more detail in the sequel, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Would you want to know the nature of the relationship?
No, because there's nothing you're going to gain by knowing that. Like, it makes it worse if you know that they used to be a couple that have grown apart because she's this eternal being that never ages. Or
She's like the old man from the Green Mile.
yeah,
You'll die soon too, but
that's but yeah, so yeah, and you get supercalifragilisticexpialidocious throughout all of this, which at one point in my life I could spell it without any issues, but I don't think I could ever do that now.
no.
Yeah.
I occasionally like to make Siri spell it. Because she'll do it.
Yeah. Alexa, please spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh shoot! I just remembered I have an Alexa. Please don't.
Alexa, spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I, this is great radio. I can vaguely make it out. I can hear it vaguely, but it's doing something back
there. Alexa, stop, please. Thank you. Go on.
But then the next big scene after all of this nonsense happens is the Uncle Albert meeting, which is the first thing we talked about before we hit record on this.
Ed Wynn's amazing voice.
Ed Wynn, who you would not recognize from previous Disney Compendium episode of
voice of Mad Hatter,
because he's the voice of the Mad Hatter, and also he was the salesman in an episode of Twilight Zone where he's making a pitch to effectively the devil to save his life.
Yeah, he basically he cons death into letting him live.
Yeah, by making his one last pitch, and it worked out for him. So that's a very good episode. I genuinely love that episode.
It's a really good episode.
Yeah, of course. An episode's on TV, and I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch. This is a good episode. It doesn't matter what episode it is. I'm going to say, it's a good episode. I'm going to watch this one.
60% chance it'll be a space episode.
But Uncle Albert is floating, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style.
Because he can't stop laughing.
He just can't stop laughing.
You're going to end up like your idiot cousins, the hyenas.
And then they have the tea party on the ceiling, and they're telling jokes. And what brings him down? Saying they have to leave.
Yep.
Makes him sad. So he floats back down.
They have to upset this poor man.
Yeah, they're ruining his day by leaving. Um,
Oh, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
your voice reminds me of like it's like you're doing like closer to like a snagglepuss as opposed to.
Like the stage left even.
But
Snagglepuss. He was going to the bathroom.
uh, but here's what. But now that all of this has played out, we've had a lot of nonsense and silliness and weirdness. It's where the plot starts to actually come into play after all of it.
Yes.
Because now Mr. Banks has absolutely had enough of all of this joyfulness going on in his household.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, now and now Poppins here tricks him again.
Tricks him once again in you first. I do like the British bank song that he starts.
Yeah. A British bank.
Yeah. But through all of this, and you have Mary Poppins like, I completely agree. That's why the kids are going to go to work with you tomorrow.
Yep. Just as you suggested.
Just like you suggested. Boy, uh, boy, does that work out great, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, on the way to the bank, we get Feed the Birds.
Get Feed the Birds, you get Mary Poppins very sad. Feed the Birds, tuppence a bag.
Yep. This is where Jane and Michael give the bag lady a turtle dove.
Yep. Wrong movie again. You keep doing it
Okay.
to me every time.
Okay. Okay.
Once again, a completely wrong movie. Uh, this is no, she's singing about Barney in this uh, buy me a beer. um, but yeah, so you Feed the Birds, which as I said earlier was Walt's favorite song. And it's a great little sweet little
Yeah.
sad song about a homeless lady trying to just sell bags of seed to feed birds, which nowadays she would be, a criminal.
Yep. Yep. She would be.
But
Or stopping the wet bandits. Either way.
yeah, yeah, exactly. She's going to release her horde of pigeons onto
The wet bandits in Central Park.
they're the sticky bandits at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm an idiot. Where was my mind?
Uh, so next week on our Home Alone 2 podcast, we'll talk about the difference between the wet bandits and the sticky bandits.
Yeah.
But until then, we meet Mr. Dawes,
Yes.
the crazy old bank manager or whatever, bank owner. What is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's played by Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
But in the credits, they mix up his name. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But we get the Fidelity Fiduciary Bank song.
Yeah.
Which is freaking great.
It's a great song. It is just, it's like, yeah, it's such a good sort of like, for lack of a better term, like villain song because it's so like, it's so droll. Like, oh gosh, just please, you have to invest your tuppence. And he just grabs it from Michael. Just like, nah.
Yeah, yeah. He's so money hungry. He steals money from a child.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's it's the one scene, it's the one segment of this movie that's kind of it feels relevant still.
Oh, I don't know what you mean, JJ.
But yeah, Michael not having it.
Stamps on his foot.
Yeah.
Takes the money back, and he and Jane bolt.
And it creates a absolutely chaotic scene at the bank. Where the people in the bank take this the wrong way, and now they all want their money back.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if you heard like they were stealing money from children, I wouldn't want to bank with them either.
Yeah. I mean, if I saw this creepy, like This guy looks like that chimney sweep's dad. She just snatching coins out of children's hands. Just he's Mr. Burns. I mean, like he
Yeah.
really is. Like it's a Mr. Burns character. This ungodly old man who just will do who will steal from a child because he can.
Well, as much grief as I was giving Dick Van Dyke about his Bert, he just pretty much goes for old man voice here.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
I think you mean what was his fake name? It was like Nav Kid.
Yeah, Dav Kid, yeah.
Nav Kid Kaid
Yeah.
or something. It looks like some sort of like weird South African
It was like an anagram for Dick Van Dyke or something.
yeah. But yeah, it's weird little thing.
Alec was genuine class.
Yeah. Um. But so yeah. They run off. And they run into Bert in the East End of London, I think. So
yeah. In a really seedy area.
Yeah, just now Bert is a chimney sweep. This is his third job that you've experienced him with in this movie.
I keep failing P tests. Oh, yeah. Bert, no.
It's like, yeah, I'll have to get away from Whitechapel, so now I'm wearing a chimney sweep.
Apparently, a felony it disqualifies you from employment. Oh no, children, come with me now.
But yeah, he takes him home, and this is where you get, I don't know, like as much as iconic as the whole chimney is, it's also like it gets increasingly absurd as it goes along, like even by this movie's standards.
We get Chimney, and then we get Steppin' Time.
Yeah.
Chimney's is Chimney. It's kind of creepy in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
where he's talking about like the darkness off in the distance.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Bird? What are you doing?
He effectively is just, they're all talking about basically how they kind of just have a like an inn into everybody's house,
Yeah.
And then like out of the woodwork as they're singing it, just like more and more chimney sweeps start appearing in the middle of the night. It's nighttime. You shouldn't be having a chimney swept in the middle of the night, but here they are.
It's like James Maddox of chimney sweeps. There's multiple Manning.
Yeah. And they're all just like, the step in time where they're all just dancing in time on the, and this is the scene that we were talking about earlier with Mary Poppins applying soot to her face while doing a song and dance number, which
where she's very nonplussed about it, like, oh, if I must.
Yeah. It's
and the Hottentots comment, so because the chimney sweeps are all covered in soot, so they're dark, and the admiral is an old racist retired military person. So
yeah. I mean, like, it's very, boy. How is that man not arrested? Because he is firing cannons and is very clearly mentally disturbed. Like, crazy.
And also, why does he have a first mate? Why is that guy there? Does he just pay this dude to like pretend to be on his boat?
It's like it's his like hired help, like it's like his medical needs assistance that just plays along with his craziness.
It's his in-home nurse, just like, all right, Admiral.
Okay.
I'll let you fire the cannon, but you got to take your meds in 15 minutes.
You can fire the cannon, but no shot in it this time.
Yeah. I'll let you fire the cannon, and then 15 minutes of Fox News, and then you can have dinner. Yeah. Then off to bed with you.
Off to bed. Please stop yelling at all of the people of color. It's creating an issue with the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some point, he also yells at Banks about something. It's just Banks!
Yeah.
And, and he seems to be totally fine with the fact that like his whole house is in a shambles every hour on the hour when this dude fires a cannon.
Yeah.
Can you think like he'd be like, he's trying to make property value down?
No, boy, could you? Yeah, that's the easily the worst neighbor in any movie that we will ever do. And
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I mean, there are neighbors that literally try to kill the main characters.
Yeah, but so yeah, the admiral's a problem.
Yeah, big problem in this movie. Like it's we can't overstate it enough. He says legitimate racial slurs, like not just like vague.
Yeah, no, he
He says genuine racial slurs in this, and
yeah
it is absolutely wild. It is
yeah.
we you will always make a joke where there is in a lot of these Disney movies, especially the earlier ones, where it's like like the Crows. We used to talk about Dumbo and the Native Americans and uh,
Mhm.
Peter Pan and stuff. But in Song of the South, which is going to be a thing that we do in some point. Um, but like, yeah, like never is there ever like any overt language. It's always just
Mhm.
this is like overt language. It is probably the one that I would like be careful if you're sensitive to this kind of stuff because there's not a lot of there's it's only a couple of times, but like it's there.
I mean,
It's,
he doesn't say like
yeah,
the N word, but he does say, he does use another word for African
yeah,
American
yeah,
or
yeah. A different sort of period
yeah,
appropriate,
yeah.
effectively saying
English slang, a British
yeah,
slang term for
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But back
But
to the
that
movie. Yeah, back to the movie itself.
yeah,
The kids finally make it home, and uh, this
Banks
is
has
where we
been.
find out that he's been fired.
He's also had
Uh,
a heart to heart with Bert here.
yeah, out of nowhere, and it seems like it sunk in somehow.
Hmm.
And Jane and Michael give him their tuppets and sort of like, we're sorry,
Hmm.
we're sorry this happened.
We're sorry, father.
Uh, um, and then he's just like meandering the streets of London.
Well, here's the weird thing. They call him at home, and they
Yeah,
summon him to the bank and tell him he's fired. But we're summoning you to the bank. Like, let me tell you something, people. If you have a job, they call you, hey, you're fired, but we need to come in. Like, nope, I'm fired.
uh,
That's me. That's me.
yeah, but because they're doing that whole um, you know turn in your badge kind of thing to it.
Yeah. We
I think
regret this course of action.
yeah, cashiering is what
Yeah.
the term for it would be.
I
But
don't know why I'm Johnny Ace now, but best on your future endeavors, Banks.
okay, Super Dave, let's
Yeah. And
uh
Banks signs with AEW, so yeah.
yeah, but yeah, this whole thing just absolutely breaks Banks's brain.
Hmm. Yep.
Like he just loses it.
It tells
Uh,
the old man to go fly a kite.
yeah, he says blurts out supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and does that whole thing, and uh, uh, I do like that. Uh, we learn that Dawes dies because the joke made him laugh too much, and he died.
He died.
He
And
died.
his sons are totally cool with it. Like, you know what? He died happy, and he made you a partner before he died. Like, wait, what?
The most absurd ending. Uh, but yeah, oh yeah. So and now you get Bert's fourth job throughout this
Yeah.
movie as kite salesman
Yep.
with uh, where you get the infamous "Let's Go Fly a Kite" song,
Yeah.
uh, which
Yes,
I sing this song absolutely all the time in my
it's a great song.
yeah. I just like I'll just be wandering around like I spend a lot of time not surrounded by anybody at work, so you'll just hear me. If you were to wander in, there's a 90% chance that I will be just quietly singing a Disney song to myself, and this will be one of them. I'll just
just how I just imagine you sitting in the break room eating a sandwich, like, no, you're welcome.
okay.
I didn't say you're welcome.
Not. I mean, listen, I don't need to go to
Just,
the. I don't need to go to the break room.
just, just singing to your ham and cheese.
Look. I would be lying if I said that never happened. But
I can go the distance. But yeah, we also get
who put the glide in?
we
Or
also get
I wanna
Mary.
know, please.
No, 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 sir.
That's gonna be a
No,
fun.
sir.
That's gonna be a
Is
fun
it?
episode.
Be
It's
fun
gonna
for
be
you.
absolutely. That's all that matters to me.
Uh, and then you're gonna throw in like, oh, by the way, next week we're gonna cover the Miami Vice soundtrack. Like, why? Why are we doing this? The history of Genesis.
Yes, but hey, that's Mary Poppins the movie.
Well, oh, but no, I also want to talk about her weird parrot head umbrella thing.
I think rules, and I wish I had one.
Yeah, where he's just
It's
like, they forgot
it's
about you.
yeah.
They don't love you anymore.
The only time it's ever been shown in this movie. She's had this the entire time. But
Yeah,
I also want to say that it is exactly the same thing as I don't know. I don't know how much into Power Rangers you ever got, but
not
the white
much. No.
the White Ranger had a saber where the
Mm.
backside of it was a lion's head that could talk, and it's the exact same thing. It's just replaced parrot with tiger. I said lion. I meant tiger. Uh,
It reminded me, like you remember back in the day, you get those little like plastic grabby things with animal heads on them,
yeah, like a
and you pull.
shark head. That would just fit in
Yeah,
your hand.
like you would get it like at Universal Studios or whatever. Like,
It is. It would
it's
be like
that.
it seems like something that Disneyland would sell for the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yes, the parrot head.
Yeah, it's not even like it's not like is it supposed to be a practical effect or is it just like it's a toy? I mean, they've created this
Yeah,
toy that can talk very
but he's also a downer.
yeah, it's an absolute bummer. He's trying to bring Mary Poppins down. He's the
Haha, the children love their father more than you. Like, well,
That was my
that's
point.
that's
That's sort of why I was here.
mission accomplished.
Yeah. And now Bert is left to be all alone again while Mary
Yep.
Poppins goes off to do whatever it is Mary Poppins does next. If you believe The Simpsons, it's to get sucked into the jet engine of an airplane.
I think she goes back and lives in the clouds again.
Yeah. Another until another rich bratty child somewhere needs help.
Yep. Yep. And Bert's gonna go do his Uber Eats thing. So
Yeah. It's like, yeah, the only way you can get the help from Mary Poppins is if you're rich enough to have a nanny.
yep.
She's not going to help the people who really need help, just the people who can afford it.
Oh, we didn't talk about Andrew, the dog. He's adorable.
I love, yes,
He's This dog's
absolutely.
got a sweet looking like little flannel jacket on.
Like, look, you put a dog in a shirt or a coat or anything, and I'm just going to be like, that's the best dog I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Even if at that moment, I honestly will truly believe that. And as you're watching it in the movie, it's like, this is the best dog that's ever been in a movie.
Look
Until
at
I
him.
see him. Yeah,
He's got a shirt.
that dog's got a puffy tail.
Puff. Here, Puff.
But yeah, I take notice of every dog in every movie. So, uh, so
But yeah, Banks gets a better job, and the family is kind of reunited. And
and then you get 58 years later, you get a sequel.
which, as you might have noticed, folks, we have not seen.
Mention that again. Have not seen.
But I mean,
Mary
they're
Poppins.
based on the books, so I assume we probably just read.
I have no idea if Mary Poppins Returns is based on any of those books.
Yeah,
Couldn't
I
tell
don't
you.
either.
Uh, um,
It looks
so in terms of like, but there was the absolutely phenomenal Saving Mr. Banks,
great movie.
great movie that sort of Disneyfies the history of, well,
Yeah,
it doesn't even give you the whole history because the history dates back to like 1938. You don't cover any of that stuff. You're covering the very small window of like the 60s,
yeah.
like leading up to this, and the sort of um, Tom Hanks as Walt Disney trying to court uh,
Peel Travers.
Travers to letting him make a movie based on the story. As to how this book got on Walt's radar sort of changes depending on like who's responsible for the narrative at the Disney company. It's like you get sort of one of two stories behind it where um, it was his daughter's favorite book and they wanted him to make a they wanted him to promise to make a Mary Poppins movie one day, or the other story is like he just overheard Lily and his wife reading the story to his daughters, and I was like, let's take notice of it, kind of thing, which is probably the much more realistic
Yeah,
answer. Um, but I like everything that when you go into the like the nuts and bolts behind some of these behind the scenes things like this. Obviously it's the Disney company and they try to pretty them up as much as they possibly can.
mm,
Um, they do it to a point in this movie. They do a pretty decent job, except they don't really fully. They make it seem like she's okay with it by the end, which she never is.
no, she's not. She did not like
Never
the movie.
did not like the movie. She never did like the movie. It was like I'm never gonna let him make a movie again, kind of thing. Like no sequels. Like that's it. Like then she wrote more books just out of spite for
Yeah,
for the movie. I I did like in um, two things that they did really well in the Mary Poppins movie that I didn't or Saving Mr. Banks that I didn't sort of expect them to do was they sort of poke a little bit at Walt's smoking problem and
yeah.
the cancer that was looming over there, because you see like he always went out of his way to make sure that nobody really saw him smoking, even though everyone knew he was always smoking, like all the
Hmm.
time.
And you can
Uh,
smell it on him too, probably.
oh, absolutely. And this is when this is when it was okay, and everyone was smoking inside all the time. So,
Hmm.
but so yeah, there's a couple of just minor scenes of him like coughing in his office alone or something. Just very simple things. And I like the post. Well, I was gonna say post credits, but like during the credits where they're actually having like the actual conversations
Yeah, the
with
audio
her,
recordings,
the audio recordings of like her with the Sherman brothers and
like
stuff.
giving them crap,
Like
giving them
just
so much.
absolutely, you can tell that she's having none of it. She's actively trying to sabotage the whole thing just to like ruin this for them, so they just give up, which was never going to happen. So,
I thought Tom Hanks, like, kid is a Disney produced movie, so Tom Hanks did a really good job of portraying Disney's version of Walt.
yeah, and even like, and also making sure that he wasn't like they didn't like completely whitewash him either. Like there's a
Yeah.
little bit of they show a little bit of the sort of curmudgeonly edge to him, but you know,
Like the
I
part
did like.
where he
Oh,
hands out business cards with with the autograph on them instead of like
oh,
signing things.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
and that's well known as to that's exactly what he would do because he just wanted to be at Disneyland, and he didn't want to be stopped. So, um, but all like the story that he told, where he tells Travers like uh, the the paperboy story thing,
Right.
is like that's not sugar coated. That's exactly like how that played out in his childhood. Like like he almost died like doing this paperboy stuff because they're in the Midwest. And,
It's cold and it's,
the snowbanks are taller than him. He didn't want to do it, but his dad was very stern and sort of a slave driver in that sense. Like he would miss days of school or go to school exhausted because he was up at like 2 o'clock in the morning having to deliver papers in the snow, things like that. Uh, so, so yeah, he
but
did a very good job, and the thing that's fun about Tom Hanks is that he never look he never looks or sounds like who he's supposed to be, but you buy it wholeheartedly that he's that character because like he only vaguely looks like Walt Disney and he doesn't talk like Walt Disney at all. Like he never really has like that drawl that Walt would have had. That
that
farm boy drawl that you would
yeah,
expect from Walt. And like even you saw him in like upcoming he's going to play Mr. Fred Rogers in a Mr. Rogers
right.
movie. And he doesn't look like Mr. Rogers, but like just sit there and look at him, it's like, all right. Like
I think his demeanor is he
yeah,
got Walt's demeanor
yeah.
down.
He held himself exactly like how Walt did, and like he got the what you needed right to be right, and yeah, it was a very good Walt Disney performance, and I was very very happy with it. Um, but yeah, this is just one of those things where they've been like constantly trying to get this movie done,
Right.
constantly. Like
They've been badgering her to do it, get the rights, and
um,
this is like a really trying to incorporate live action with animated
yeah, and that
animation
was
here is a
like,
big deal here.
and that was the thing with she wanted it to only be a live action movie. She hated the idea of she did not want it to be a cartoon, and she hated the fact that there was a cartoon in this movie. Uh, but you know, despite her opinions on it, I don't. There was nothing you were ever going to do to make her happy. It was a very personal story for her,
Hmm.
and um, there was sort of there was no way you were going to ever make her happy, even if you like filmed the book 1-to-1. I think there was it was just this. It is such a personal story for her that she would always find fault in it. So and I'm glad that they ended up doing what they did with the movie because the movie's better off for it in the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Julie Andrews does an absolutely phenomenal job.
Julie
And
Andrews is great in this movie.
yeah,
Um,
this was her uh, debut in film. Um,
Now she was nominated for an Oscar for this, right?
this movie was nominated for so much stuff.
But she
Uh,
personally,
yes. Um, let's see, but yes, best actress in a leading role, and not only was she nominated, but she won.
so this
For
is this is this is prior to Gone to Sound of Music.
yes, this was she's just coming off of a stage career. This is her first theatrical film role.
Yeah, because
Uh,
she was the original My Fair Lady.
yes, Eliza Doolittle.
I love Doolittle, yeah.
uh, but uh, Audrey Hepburn ended up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think wasn't it that she was filming this, and that's why Audrey Hepburn got My Fair Lady?
that's that's the story, whether that's factual or not, because Andrews was Eliza Doolittle on Broadway.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
It probably was a factor, but who's to say that was really what it was, other than, or, oh yeah, we could have Julie Andrews, who was on Broadway, or we could have somebody who can, is a known box office draw. You know
Yeah.
how that's
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
in old Hollywood.
It's not the Tom Selleck, Magnum PI, Indiana Jones situation.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, this movie was like nominated for Let's see how many awards it was nominated for that year. For the at the Academy Awards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Academy Award nominations.
Good grief.
So it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director with Robert Stevenson,
Okay.
Best Actress in a Leading Role, which was Julie Andrews, and she won. Best Adapted Screenplay,
Right.
uh, Best Color Cinematography, Best Color Art Direction. This is still 1960s, so color is still a distinction. It's funny to
Yeah,
think of.
I mean, like, it's got very vivid colors. Like,
Best Costume Design, Best Sound. Was nominated for Best Film Editing, which it won. Best Visual Effects, which it won. Best Original Song, which it won. And Best Score, which it won. So, Best Original Song, what was it? Think of all the music in this. Do you know?
Was it was it Jolly Holiday?
It was not. Chim Chim Cheree was the
Chim Chim
song.
Cheree.
It won for Best Original Song that year.
So I trying to go not obvious.
Yeah. I think you even went Jolly Holiday is like even more obvious than Chim Chim Cheree.
Yeah, I guess it's a good song. I mean, there's no bad songs in the soundtrack.
Yeah. Julie Andrews won the Golden Globe for Best Actress. It won Grammys for soundtrack and score. Uh, and it was in the Writers Guild of America awarded it Best Written American Musical. So, like, it cleaned up.
Yeah.
It cleaned up. You want to get into the sort of production, like the behind the scenes of this, but like, you just watching like Saving Mr. Banks does a pretty decent job of giving you sort of like the footnotes version of, like the Cliff Notes version of it. Just understand that um, any time they show any like an inkling of her being happy about it is not true.
She was pretty much just. I mean,
Yeah,
she begrudgingly signed over the rights to the movie.
yeah, yeah. And there's a couple of like there's some letters you can get some letters where she's like, thank you letters and stuff for all of it. Or there's a couple of like she had nice things to say about it, but overall, like the movie ends with her like crying and being happy at the theater, seeing like the "Let's Go Fly a Kite" sequence and stuff, and it's like, no,
No.
no, that's not how that was. But she never thought that movies could do justice to her books, and I think if you her books probably because her books are a lot, a lot I don't know, a lot more stern in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
They're a little less they're a little less playful than the Disney movie.
Not as much
Um,
whimsy.
yeah, not as much whimsy. And the music and stuff, like it goes a long way. But you have him throughout the course of 30 years send Roy out there and try to convince her. Um, and they tried to keep changing like every time they made a suggestion of changing things like, well, let's not make it the 30s. Let's make it, a little older than that, or
Yeah.
Um,
And she was also not happy with the casting of Van Dyke either, I think, right?
no, she was not because yeah, she was and she didn't like Mr. Banks's portrayal because that was her
It was,
father's avatar in the stories.
yeah.
He was very stern and cruel to the kids. I mean, he really is kind of cruel to the kids in the beginning of this movie. And he turns around, and that's why you get the title from
Right.
the Save Mr. Banks because it's changing sort of like having him have his reversal and everything. So yeah, so you know it's a decent enough. It's not a documentary, obviously. It is a Disney movie with the Disney hand in it, and by this point, Peel Travers has been long since passed. So
They
there's not.
they kind of tell whatever story they want to.
yeah, they can sway the narrative. I mean, uh, she has different there's different biographies and stuff about her and stuff like the real Mary Poppins and Shadow of Mary Poppins, and there's stuff you can read that do some really good behind the scenes stuff for this. But yeah, it took this movie was took 11 months to make, which is very very long for a movie.
Well, I
You
mean,
especially for I mean an animated movie takes a long time, especially back in this era, because of how long they are and how you had to. I mean, at this point in time, we're now into the Xerox age of Disney, so it's the time's been cut down a lot shorter. But you're still taking years to make a feature length cartoon at this point. Um, back in the day, it took about 9-10 months to make a cartoon. Live action movies tend to take a lot less time to make, but it's a Disney movie with a lot of uh,
special effects.
special effects and practical effects and a lot of animation sequences and music. And I think it took a substantial amount of time just to create the music for this
Yeah,
movie alone.
I think of the choreography and all that stuff. And, yeah.
Um, um, and the reason, and that was another thing with the reason why there's no relationship between Mary Poppins and Bert is because that Travers demanded it. like, it was there was supposedly early on there was some hints at that the relationship was anything more than platonic, that there's perhaps romantic intentions going on, but Travers said no.
Well, I mean, we get to the part of the Jolly Holiday song where he's naming off all the girls he's hung out with, and she's very obviously jealous about it.
Yeah, so that song had to be changed specifically for
Yeah.
that because it sounds like the original version of that song had more hints, but they did keep some hints in that song intentionally. Um, uh, and the character was just sort of a little bit of several characters from the book. So, and there's a lot of music that just never made it into the movie. Like there's a whole album of just songs that are deleted from the movie, essentially.
That she purposely demanded be cut, or they just couldn't fit in.
Various they they couldn't make it in. Reprises of other songs. She didn't want them. They ended up not liking them. The Sherman Brothers weren't happy with it. Um, I think a couple of them like turn up later on. Um, I know one of them ended up being a Winnie the Pooh, like uh, recently, like 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 the Winnie the Pooh Corner. Welcome to Pooh Corner.
Okay.
One of the songs that got deleted ended up being like a Winnie the Pooh song, and the Happiest Millionaire ends up taking just the tone, the the introduction melody of a song, taking out the lyrics and stuff and using it. They repurposed them later. I think a couple of other ones, I know one of them ended up in Bedknobs and Broomsticks,
Which makes sense because there's a lot of similarities.
and another one is they rewrote it to be "Trust in Me" from Jungle Book.
Oh, okay.
So there's a couple of I mean there's like I said there's album like of songs that were created that just disappeared or couldn't fit in or deleted deleted scenes and stuff. So
The movie would have been like 3 hours long otherwise because it's been song, 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 song.
when this movie came out, this movie is an absolute success for the studio.
Oh yeah.
You cannot overstate how massive a success this movie was for the studio. I mean, not just financially, but as we were saying, it's award winning. That this is a Disney movie nominated for Best Picture and taking home the award for Best Actress, Song, Editing, special effects. It is a massive success for the studio. The money earned from the studio is what paid for the land for Disney World.
Good God.
Yeah.
That is insane. Well, it's still pretty well beloved to this day.
Some say that it is the pinnacle of Disney movies,
Mm-hmm.
like the crowning achievement of Walt Disney. Like this is like he's had movies that were bigger in certain sense. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is probably obviously his most important movie that he's ever made. But like they're saying, like this is probably like his best movie that he's ever made. Like and it's hard to argue with that in some respects because
Yeah.
there's a lot to take in with this movie, and it's got top-notch Disney animation. The animation in this is better than the movie we talked about last week, Sword and Stone.
Absolutely, it is.
And like this comes out after that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like this is where the effort went. Like all the shortcomings from Sword and Stone, made up for tenfold in Mary Poppins, and better music, better visuals, animation is stunning. Um, it's like everything about it's phenomenal. Like it is, and it's like even at the time and now, massive box office success, massive critical success, everything. It made in its initial run, it made $31 million in North America
In 1964.
Yes, in 1964.
Good God.
For the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney Productions in 1973, they re-released it again, and it earned another $9 million during this re-release. It made $14 million in 1980, and its total lifetime rentals is 45 million for this movie. So I mean, like, and it was the 20th most popular sound film of the 20th century in the UK. So
it's got a heck of a legacy.
And the budget was about 5 million, give or take a million. It's hard to, some of these budgets are funky, especially with Disney. And so they're saying that it was probably the most profitable film of the year.
So whatever financial worries they had at the time, this movie kind of helped dig them out.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the money made for this was like responsible for Disney World in a sense. Like he was already, foot in the ground here, and he was trying to get land in Florida to make Disney World, and it was such a success that he was able to just buy the land that he needed. But this movie, we always talk about when we do the cartoons of like its legacy, and so sequel, yes, obviously just came out. It's in theaters currently still
for another month or two, probably.
Yeah, and it's been a success as far as I can tell. So
yeah, it wasn't the blockbuster that you thought it would be, or I thought it would be.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those situations where it is just Mary Poppins. It's like a Wizard of Oz situation. Like, should you touch it?
Yeah.
Like they can you go back to it 58 years later and catch that again? And no, you can't. Mary Poppins is part of pop culture, and everyone, especially North America, everyone knows what Mary Poppins is. Like even if you haven't seen the movie, there's something that for Mary Poppins, whether it be the Sherry Bobbins, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is but actually it's annoyed grunt, but it's hard to say that when they're trying. I mean it's a parody, one-to-one parody of Mary Poppins. Like they parody music, they parody like 4 songs from Mary Poppins.
It's one of the better Simpsons episodes.
Yeah, especially one of the better ones where it's Simpsons, an entire episode of The Simpsons making fun of something else. Like, because they would go on to make a career out of like adapting stories and doing parodies of other things, and this is probably
like we talked about a few weeks ago with the 101 Dalmatians, kind of.
Yes, yes. But so yeah, theme park wise, it has a presence, but not like ride.
There's
It
the
like
bakery.
There's the Jolly Holiday Bakery,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of my favorite places to eat at Disneyland was the Blue Ribbon Bakery on Main Street, and they closed it, and they moved the bakery down a ways to the end of Main Street and opened it up as this Mary Poppins themed Jolly Holiday Bakery, which is it's essentially the same bakery, so everything's
Uh,
good.
a delicious. I had a delicious Mickey Mouse shaped cookie there last time I went.
They have um, the absolute best. Like, if you're hungry and you want some comfort food, they just have a fantastic grilled cheese and tomato soup that you can get there.
Really?
Yeah, and
Huh.
it's like, yeah, it's a great grilled cheese sandwich and it's great tomato soup, and it's like cheap by Disney standards, and you feel like you had a lunch and not just sort of you hobbled together a lunch out of various things, out of the various corn dogs and pretzels and cookies that they have scattered around the park.
That's good to know because yeah, sometimes it's like, well,
Yeah,
you're working like 4 lunches at Disneyland.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the JJ hot scoop of Disneyland this week is
Grilled cheese and tomato soup.
grilled cheese potato soup at the Jolly Holiday Bakery, and it's great. Jolly Holiday tends to be a little busy, but nowhere near as busy as the Starbucks Main Street. So it's also, if you need coffee, that's a good place to go to.
Yeah,
That Starbucks is always insanely packed. I,
it's well, that one's packed, but the one in downtown Disney is even more packed.
yeah, and even the one in California Adventure, I think, ends up being more packed because it's like right at the. It's almost one of the first things you come across at that theme park.
Yeah.
Um, but the one in downtown Disney has like also has like a liquor license. So
Well, yeah. Well, they're actually like they're a black apron Starbucks too.
yeah, and the Starbucks is in uh, Disneyland and California Adventure aren't called Starbucks. So I forget what they're called, like the Penny and Whistle or something. Like, I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
They all got like weird like turn of the century names and stuff. But no video game for Mary Poppins. I
No,
did a
no.
I did a I don't even think I'm pretty sure it's not even in Kingdom Hearts. It would be hard to adapt Mary Poppins in any way, shape, or form into. I feel like they would go a little too hard on like the soot on Bert in this
Yeah.
game, make it like Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball or something. And like I'd be worried that way, but like I did Google it before. I was like, what? Maybe there's just some weird, obscure like
Maybe the pig,
ColecoVision game that
maybe,
existed. But
maybe the
when I
penguins are in something.
yeah, but I typed in Mary Poppins video game in the Google the other day, and the first thing is a YouTube video for a unfinished Mary Poppins homebrew game for the NES. I was like, well, okay, that answers that.
I'm sure there is I'm sure somebody has a Mary Poppins a sprite in salty batch right now.
Yeah, but there was a board game. There was a Mary Poppins board game. If that counts for anything. I feel like it
Yeah, there
does.
you go. It does.
Board games, especially board games from the '60s, and it's like, yeah, good luck. That box is going to be destroyed, and you're going to be missing like 12 pieces, and only one of them is going to be critical, but it's going to be the most critical piece possible.
The box is gonna have the worst water damage imaginable.
Yeah, maybe it's not water. I don't know. It's 60-volt wet stain. It's turned yellow. It could be literally anything at this point. Maybe it's a Pepsi. Maybe it's coffee. Maybe it's who knows.
My mom and my aunt both had Mary Poppins dolls when they were
Oh yeah.
when they were girls when these came out. She still has her Mary Poppins doll.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Disney. It is a very uh, marketable movie. It's not as marketable as you would think, and like, but also, what is there to sell with Mary Poppins other than
Besides Mary
Mary Poppins
herself, yeah,
doll? Yeah,
yeah,
like because there's really not a whole lot. Because it's a period piece, and so and the cartoon characters are all very generic cartoon characters. It's penguins and stuff and animals and the carousel things and stuff. So it's like not really something you could sell that way. And so like the new movie has like, you know, vinyl figures, like Funko stuff.
right. But
Like you
that's
see
that's
like t-shirts and stuff is sort of mostly what you get. That don't even get that many. So
I I saw this auction show recently where I think I guess it was Sotheby's where they actually had like the original carpet bag that
no,
Julie Andrews had, and I think it went for like almost $1 million at auction.
yeah, and those are things that end up in like in
Private collections.
private collections, or in some cases they'll donate them to um, museum pieces and stuff. Like, I'm just not too far from um, Mopop, which is a Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. And like they have like a fantasy stuff, and so you can go in there and you see certain, like they have the Wizard of Oz stuff, like they have Dorothy's dress there, and like the Cowardly Lion costume and stuff. Like they have like, it ends up being in like these kinds of collections and stuff. But Disney tends to hold on to things as much as they can.
Yeah, yeah. But no, actually, I know I've seen Mary Poppins and Bert like doll Barbies,
Yeah,
like but modeled after Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke
yeah.
at the Disney store or wherever.
Julie Andrews also still does Disney stuff, and like,
Yeah,
she, like she was. I remember she
Prin-
did the VO for the 50th anniversary fireworks display at
well, I mean,
Disneyland.
Princess Diaries is Disney, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So she like yeah, and Dick Van Dyke is a Disney, like he's a legit Disney legend.
yeah.
Like he's been bestowed that Disney honor of being official Disney legend, not just like you know a technical legend, but an actual Disney legend. So she's a she's he's in with them for life at this point.
Yeah, yeah. He I think he had to learn how to dance for this movie actually too.
You can tell because he still can't dance. But yeah, so this was Julie Andrews' first theatrical movie role, and like
She got an Oscar
killed it.
for it.
Yeah, killed it. Yeah, you don't see Audrey Hepburn getting the Academy Award for My Fair Lady that year. So, um, but yeah, she killed it on this. So
She's great. It's really what started her career. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and a career that's still going to this day. I mean, she just had a voice role in Aquaman.
What?
Oh yeah,
I okay.
yeah.
I I missed that. All right then.
She was and she's in Despicable Me voice, and she's in Shrek, and um, uh, yeah. So no, she was oh, what the heck's the character's name? Carathan in
Okay.
Aquaman. So the uh, guarding the trident. Big
That thing that was
yeah,
Julie Andrews.
Andrews.
What the hell?
Yeah, yes, that's Julie Andrews. So
There there's some weird cast in that movie, and okay,
no,
we
yeah.
had Nicole Kidman for some reason in this movie. She's in here.
So there you go.
But yeah,
So yeah,
her and Dick Van Dyke still around, still going strong.
going strong. Like yeah, and she pops up on um, TV from time to time still to see her like yeah popping up in like Netflix. She was like in a Netflix thing for Britain or something. Julie's green room or something. But yeah, so yeah, it's exciting. This movie is fantastic. It's absolutely
It is, and well, obviously we can't rank it, but
yeah.
it would be pretty high if we did.
If it were in the running for in our canonical list of Walt Disney Animation Studios releases, it would be top five, I would think,
Oh
for
yeah,
me.
I'd
Yeah,
be top three for me.
yeah. So it's absolutely great, and I can't recommend it enough. I watch it.
No,
I watch it regularly, not yearly or anything, but like I've seen it more than a good chunk of actual Disney animated movies. So it's
yeah,
probably it's probably the one live action Disney movie that I've seen
the
like
most of.
the most of. Yeah. So
And personal experience, my children love it, where my oldest son loves it. So we're good to watch it maybe every month or so.
let's see.
So it's a movie that's like almost 60 years old now, and it's appeals to a 7-year old. So hey,
I mean,
must be
well,
something
and
about
that's
it.
sort of the advantage of when the movie comes out, you made it as a period piece, so it doesn't date itself by trying to uh, be like of its time. Because when you make something, sometimes if you make something of its time, you tend to throw things in there that will be forgotten about in 20, 30 years.
Right.
When you're already making something, decades after when you're making it, you already know that the references that you're going to make are going to be, holding the test of time a little bit because you still know about it. You're making the movie about it. Um, so yeah, they lucked out. They made, and Disney's always been good about that. They try to limit the sort of um, stuff that's going to be like lost in a few years. They try.
Yeah.
It hasn't been so good lately, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I like to watch like Flight of the Navigator every now and then. Like, oh yeah, this is a very 80s
yeah,
movie. Yeah.
yeah. You can't sit back and watch Tron and fully under like if you weren't around in that time frame. There's some things that make no sense, but um, it's still a fun movie. It doesn't mean anything to a child of that was born, in the 2000s. But
It's like, why are these guys wearing like bodysuits and why they look weird? Why are their special effects so bad? And that's the other thing is the special effects in Mary Poppins.
yeah,
They're dated, but they still kind of hold up.
yeah. Well, it's because, like I said earlier, I think it helps that it's not magic, but it's sort of presented as magic.
Right.
So it's not too far removed from like a stage show version of
Yeah.
magic,
Okay, that's a good example.
which so like they're not trying to like trick you. It's just like no, that's just how it is. See? And they're using the same kind of practical effects that a stage musician magician would use. Uh, so it's a lot of sleight of hand and practical effects and things like really work. And it's when you don't have to worry about we'll go back and fix that later.
Right.
Like, boy, that didn't look like she pulled that out of her purse convincingly. Like, no, it's a real thing, and then that's we shoved in a hole that she could just reach into and pull, and we could feed it up to her. The only effect that like ever looks bad is like when they're floating.
Yeah.
That always
That's
looks bad in a movie, especially older movies. Like very rarely have they ever like really pulled off the illusion of flight up until more recent times. You know what I mean?
where you see the green screen effect very clearly behind them, and yeah.
Yeah, you can see artifacting, and they're holding themselves like they're on a harness or they're on string. Like you can tell a human body when it's like it's not really supposed to be in this position and it's fighting. Like it's the urge to,
Right.
it wants to sort of go limp in this position. And you can always tell when a person's holding themselves up on a harness. So, um, but those are the worst looking effects in the movie, I think, and it's still pretty good compared to a
Yeah,
lot of other
absolutely.
effects.
Yep.
So I've seen worse flying special. Superman had worse flying special effects than this one. So,
I
and
did not believe a man could fly.
yeah, exactly. Like I believed in Mary Poppins flying much more than I believed in Superman flying. And that movie and
It's
that movie came out a decade later. You know what I mean? So,
and I feel like besides Mary Poppins Returns, there's a little bit of renewed interest for Mary Poppins because of Guardians too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yondu's
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all,
Which
which
is
is probably one of the best parts of that movie.
it's to this day I can watch that movie and it makes me laugh just as hard now as it did when that happened the first
Yeah,
time seeing it.
yeah,
And it's a very, very perfect line.
yeah. I just like the delivery. It was like, ah, you look like Mary Poppins. Was he cool? Hell yeah, he was cool.
Yeah.
Mary
And
Poppins, y'all.
yeah, just he's like super into it because now he knows he's cool. And you know what? Mary Poppins is cool.
Mary Poppins is cool.
So he wasn't lying either because yeah,
Yeah.
Mary Poppins is cool. She is, like I said, she's a superhero in her own rights, and she is Doctor Strange of her era. She's
Yeah.
able to. She's popping in out of pocket dimensions. She can go wherever she needs to, whenever she needs to, and she doesn't age clearly because I don't. This movie, the new one, takes place decades after this one, when when the kids are all grown up and now they have their own kids, kind of situations.
And she still has to come back and save the original kit.
Yeah.
But banks have come to bargain.
Uh, it's a movie about a bank dad. I mean, just
It's really on the nose, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. So Mary Poppins is great. Highly recommended. Um, this, like I said, this is a stopgap. I figured we are going to do a break. Now we're going to go into the sort of second era of Disney movies.
Which is exciting.
Exciting. This is the era, the post-Walt era. Um, he still had his hands a little bit in our next movie, which is The Jungle Book. Um, but he passed away before it came out. So you know, obviously the company kind of falls into a little bit of chaos after this, um, and they're trying to do everything they can to keep the studio going while you know having to deal with losing you know your 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 icon,
Right.
your I mean, he was the father of the studio. It was the face of the studio. Everyone knew who he was, and everyone was attached to him. A lot of the employees saw him as a very fatherly figure to them, and so did America. He was America's uncle. Um, so, how do you go on from that? What do you do? How do you honor the memory of this man? And where we'll find out if they do a good job in the coming years.
The answer differs.
It seems optimistic out the gate, but you ran into some issues.
Yeah.
A lot of the problems we're going to run into have nothing to do with the movies themselves, but just behind the scenes stuff. And they start focusing on the wrong things and taking Walt's ideas and message wrong. Nothing's more evident than Disney World and what happened with Epcot and all that stuff. Um, but we'll get there when we get there. But until then, we have next week um, Jungle Book, which will be a very fun episode for us.
Great movie.
Great movie. Where it'll fall in the rankings, I'm not going to tell you right now because you have to wait for the next week's episode. But until then, I want to thank you again for enjoying another episode, a little more rambly episode than usual.
Yeah, that's okay.
I have cabin fever from being snowed in
And
all weekend, and Nick is he's
I have
just
I have a head cold.
he's knocking on heaven's door as we speak. So I better let him get some rest. I'm going to need to get some rest, and hopefully, when I wake up, I can get out of my house because we're supposed to get another like 5 inches of snow tonight. So, yay!
Ugh.
But until then, I want to thank you for joining us and have a magical day.
Good boy.